Now we are here to test out to see if a pinhole photo is really just a blurry version of a regular photo. Hey everyone, this is Hayato. I am a newbie pinhole photographer, and I'm here sharing my experiences as I learn this creative form of photography. Hey everyone, we are here at Holland Ridge Farms amongst our brilliant light display. Now we are here to test out to see if a pinhole photo is really just a blurry version of a regular photo. So I have a place picked out for the first test, so let's head on over there. We are at the first location. The first test is going to be with that kind of star there that's lit up. And what we'll do is take a picture with the pinhole camera and then swap the lens and take the same shot, same focal length with a regular lens. Then mostly gonna like knock it out of focus to see what it looks like when it's blurry. And so hopefully that will give us an idea of like the difference between a pinhole's blurriness, right, versus a regular lens's blurriness. We're all set up. It's gonna have to be a long exposure, probably like a minute. I mean, a minute's gonna be still well underexposed, but I don't want to spend all night out here, so we'll have to handle any issues in post-processing. Here we go. Let's see how this turned out. It's actually not that bad exposure-wise. I'm sure it is underexposed though. Yeah, so let's switch lenses and see what it looks like with a regular lens. Okay, so I'm all framed up with my regular lens at about the same focal length, and this is going to be a quick shot, a fifth of a second. Let's see what we get. Okay, so that's what it looks like. It's about what you would expect, a pretty realistic look at the star and the lights and the background with the red colors and stuff. Now I'm going to knock it out of focus and we'll see what it looks like when it's blurry. Here's what it looks like when it's blurry on purpose. Now we'll compare the pinhole version and this version when we get back home so we can take a pretty good look at them. I think we're going to head off and find a second location. So we are here at the second location that I found. It's with these rows of lit up tulips. Now they're not real tulips, they're lights that have a tulip kind of shape to them. It's a pretty cool look though. And we're going to start with the regular lens this time, since that's what I have in the camera. So that is with it in focus, right? So then we knock it out of focus. Yeah, I think that's as bad as out of focus I can make it. Okay, so there's that shot. Now let me switch lenses and put the pinhole lens on there, and let's see what we get. I wanted to stay a little bit longer, but as you can see, it started raining pretty bad. So that's the end of the on-site portion of this video. So let's go home and start comparing the photos. Hey everyone, so we are back home and we're going to compare the images we took at the Holland Ridge Farms. Now if you remember, the first image we took was of that star structure, right? And this is what it looks like straight out of the camera. Right. Now, right off the bat, it looks kind of interesting. There's a bit of a texture to it. But there's some distractions over here, so before we start really looking at it, let's do a little editing on it. So I think one thing is I had a square crop in mind for this one, right? And then let's hit the auto for Lightroom and see what it does, right? And I don't think the image needs to see anything around the ground there. So I think if we knock the blacks down, I think this is the shadows, right? Knock the shadows down quite a bit. Right, yeah, so yeah, it looks much better, much more contrast to it, right? And might want to add some light. I think it just needs more exposure, actually. Right, so more exposure, but lower the shadows again. Decrease the blacks, and let's get this centered a little bit more. So yeah, so that's much better. So now, yeah, I wish I didn't have this kind of a green thing here, and and I did take other photos, and this one is not as strongly composed as it could be. I do have a better composed one, and we'll stick that at the end of the video. Okay. Yeah. So now I edited a little bit. I mean, it could use a little saturation maybe, and dehaze. Yeah, dehaze is really not gonna do anything. Yeah, because we blacked out the background anyway. Yeah, so I kind of like this image. Right? I like the texture of it basically, and this image is kind of around the texture, which kind of means it's gonna be more like an abstract image. Okay, so let's go on to the next image. This image is the one with the regular lens, and right off the bat, it's kind of boring. Now everything's a matter of taste, right? But to me, it's kind of boring, kind of lifeless. But let's give it a shot with the editing. So I kind of do the similar things we did to the other one. Do auto here. Now in this case, being able to see the background more, I think, is more interesting, right? Because the lights on the star are not as prominent, right? So it kind of needs something to add to the story. But it is kind of more documentary than artistic. But there's really nothing I can do to this one, I don't think. At least not really quickly. It'd be a lot of effort to make it look more like an artistic image. But now, this next one, right, this is when I knocked it out of focus. Right? So now it's a kind of a blurry image. Right? And I already like that better. Let's do some more editing on it. Hit the auto again. Yep. So again, since the lights are really prominent, right, I think we don't need the dark shadows. Right? We do need more light to make it brighter. So let's put exposure a little bit, knock the shadows down, maybe knock the blacks down to make it like almost pure black back there. Right, so yeah, so this clearly, to me anyway, right, looks better than the in focus one. Now you can see the lights better. It's even got like this smooth bokeh thing off to the left here. I think in the other images that might have been a little distracting, but I think in this one it adds to it. Alright, so I think this is actually a pretty strong image. I mean, again, the composition could be better, right? But it's kind of not the point of this exercise. But yeah, so one thing we can do is we can compare the two. All right, let's put this in comparison mode again. So now I think I do like the one on the left better. Right? Now at this point, it is more of a up to what a person's taste is, right? And I like the one that's on the left better. It's got more texture to it. Right? On the right side, it's got like cleaner colors, I guess, or nicer colors. I don't know what the word is, right? But it is. You can kind of tell that's a blurry image, right? Even though you can tell that it was purposely made blurry. Right? So in this one, I think, yeah, I like the Pinhole better. So mostly because of the texture of it. So now we took a second photo, right? Let's go there. That's like 2 clicks over here, or 3 clicks over. There we go. So this one is using a regular lens and it's in focus, right? That's the first shot I took. Right? Now I think there's 2 ways to edit this one. I think a lot of people would be tempted to give it more of a 4:5 crop or a 5:7 maybe, and kind of just really focus in here like this. Right? The auto again, see what that does. Yeah. Right, so I think it does need not quite as much shadows, right? But it is nice to be able to see a bit more of uh, the leaves, the plastic leaves, right here. But you know, it doesn't really speak to me. This one, when it's like this, I think I wanted to showcase the 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 breadth of the scene, right? And it's how it spreads out. Let's give it a 16 by 9 crop, right? And see how that does. But uh, let's make it. Let's pull in the horses on the right side. Yeah, right. So now we can see that the tulips kind of move through this curve and it kind of points to those horses out there. You know, so even though it's not the main subject of the photo, right? But I think it gives you that feeling of being wide and expanded, right? Yeah. But then it also kind of pulled the starburst off to the left, right? Which I think gives you another thing to look at on the side of the images. Sorry, on the side of this image. Yeah, so I actually like this one. I think it turned out really nice. Now let's go over to the next one, which is where it's out of focus, right? And you know, right off the bat, we can kind of see it's basically just out of focus. Uh, but let's give this a chance by clicking over to the first image. Let's copy all the edits from it. Right, so you know, I'm not seeing anything where I can kind of improve this image. It really is just an out of focus image. Yeah, so let's go to the next one. So this one is the pinhole one, and if we copy the same edits on here, right, you know, in this case we actually do want to have a lot more contrast. It is hazy, so we want to hit the contrast in the haze, drop the shadows a bit more, right, the blacks. You know, I'm not in love with this image here. Yeah, having the tools be out of focus like this doesn't really give you something to your eye to follow, right? Uh, and then of course we have this over here. There's this kind of weird starburst, and I think this is caused by the irregularity in the pinhole itself, right? And if we go back to like the very first star image, right, that's where this texture is coming from, I think. I mean, if we, it's coming from two spots. If we go to the one that's in focus, right, we can see here, right, that the light bulbs are kind of in different spots. Like over here on the right, light bulb is behind the bars, right, and this one is kind of clearly along on its own. Right, there's all sorts of things that add to making it irregular, right? But I think the main thing is that the irregularity of the pinhole, right, is what's giving this all this texture. Right here on the star, on the left over here, and over here on the right with the multiple colors. That's a tunnel, by the way. And in this image, I think that adds a lot, right? The irregularity or the imperfections of pinhole, right, adds a lot. But for this particular image, I don't think that irregularities help the image at all. Now if we compare these side by side, right, let's get this, the pinhole one to the left here, right, and then we can put it one on top of the other. Right, so, yeah, on this one, being a kind of a sharp, clear shot, I think makes this image better. Right? You really get to have your eye drawn through the tulips, kind of to the right on this curve. It takes you to the horses, so you can really see our horses. The starburst is a starburst, right? And not kind of this I don't know, choppy light here. So yeah, so let's kind of what I think about these two images, right? And I think the lesson here is that, you know, no one photographic technique is going to apply to every image, right? Some techniques work better for certain scenes, and I think this kind of shows that, right? Now, it is a matter of taste, right? And there might be some people that really like this kind of really messy version, right, of this image, right? But yeah, I personally think the regular lens did a much better job. Right? You know, but you know, for the very first one though, right, the starburst one, right? Take a better look at it. Right? You know, I think the imperfections of Pinhole, right, adds a lot to it, right? Because it adds that texture, makes it more abstract, right? It's a bit more like someone had painted it, right? So those are the two image comparisons, right? To answer the question, is Pinhole more than just blurry photos? I think the answer is a lot of times it's more than blurry photos, and a lot of times it's not. Right? I think the two images show here, right, that some scenes or some compositions lend themselves to that Pinhole look better than others. Right? So, and then it also comes down to taste. Right? Different people like different things, and you know, and that's fine, right? But I do think that Pinhole is a different aesthetic, right? And but it's not for every situation. So as a Pinhole photographer, right, the challenge is to find those situations where those kind of imperfections of Pinhole, right, are enhance the scene, right, or enhance the image. So I did mention before, right, that I took other photos of these scenes, and they are both Pinhole photos, and I think they are much better composed, right? And I'm sticking them at the end of the video here. If you like this type of content, basically following a newbie get into the intricacies of Pinhole photography, please subscribe to this channel, and then also follow me on Instagram. The information is below.